Hi everyone, it's Mike here. Today I'm going to give you a sneak peek of a new range which is coming out a bit later on in the year, around about August time, and this is a card made from our new CD called Romantique. Now this set is, or the CD is for weddings, anniversaries and engagements, and features a beautiful array of vintage style images. Now this is a 6x6 card that I'm going to show you how to make today, but I'm going to just quickly show you the sheet, or the sheets from the CD that I've printed out on what's contained on each of the kits. So this is just one of the kits printed from the CD, and I've just printed this off on a 190 GSM cardstock, so not too thick and not too thin, so just a nice weight. So on each of the kits, when you print them out, let me just zoom out a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the sheet. Okay, so on each of the sheets you're getting a backing paper, you're getting a matte layer, you're getting an insert panel. There's a choice of different sentiments depending on what occasion it is that you want to send the card for. We have anniversaries, anniversary one, you have an engagement one, you also have another anniversary one there, but you also have a generic one which just says warmest wishes on your very special day. So that can be used for quite a different amount of occasions. You're also getting some nice little word tickets that say love, joy, story, that goes with the love, hope. You've also got romance, and on the other sheet you've got another romance, and you've also one that says always. So you could team those up. You could say love story, you could say love always. There's lots of different combinations you can do. And also on the sheets you've also got some decorative metal effect buttons. Now these are compatible with punches that you can pick up or you may already have in your stash. The smaller ones are 3/8 circle punch, compatible with a 3/8 circle punch, and the larger ones are compatible with a 5/8 circle punch, and they can be picked up quite inexpensively. This is an X-Cut 3/8 circle punch, and I think I paid £2.50 for that. You've also got this little panel here which has got some music. It's like a music sheet which is used as a tuck-in item underneath. So let me just show you that card again. As you can see, I've distressed it a little bit, but I'm going to show you how I'll put the card together in a moment. Okay, so I've gone ahead and cut out all the pieces from my kits, and I've left the buttons till a bit later so you can see the punch in action. But the sentiment that I've chosen, as you can see, I've not cut that out by hand. I have actually used a die. There is a die which is compatible with the shape, and this is from the Stamping Up Framelets Labels collection, and this is number 2 from that collection. So if you're interested in the labels, the label dies from Stampin' Up, then just get in touch with us through our website, or just give the office a ring and we'll put you in touch with a Stampin' Up demonstrator where you can order that from. Okay, so those are all my bits. Now before we go any further, I just wanted to show you, each of the kits, when you print them out, in the top right hand corner there is a little photograph, what we call a serving suggestion of how the kit, we envision the kit being put together, but obviously this is just a serving suggestion and you can put the kit together however you want to. Okay, so those are all my bits that I've got to use. So we're going to start off just by creating our card base. Now I've got a standard sheet of A4 craft card here, so all I'm going to do is put that into my trimmer at 148mm, or 2 marks before the 15 mark on your trimmer, and I'm just going to cut that portrait wise, so tall as opposed to wide. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is just fold that in half, and that's going to create our 6x6 card base. And then just using a bone folder, I'm just going to burnish those creases. So there's our card base already done. So the next step is to put our first layer on, which is the striped blue panel. Now for the purposes of the demonstration today, I'm just going to use a tape runner but obviously for more permanence you can then use wet glue if you want to. Now I'm going to do it as a side folding, actually no, we'll do it as a top folding card, so a tent card today. And I'm just going to place that, and now this is exactly as it's cut out from the sheet. So as you can see, we've made it so the panel is just that bit smaller than the card front. So that provides a nice mat, so there's no measuring for you there. So I'm going to take my next panel, which is the first of the decorative floral ones, and again I'm just going to stick that right to the front. Now I'm going to stick this straight, but you can put it at an angle if you want to. Remember, this is your card when you put it together, you don't have to stick to our serving suggestions. Lovely. So the next step is to add our decorative music sheet. Now again, you can, if you want to, you can distress the edges of all the pieces. I'm not going to do that today. Or you can use distress ink as well to make them a little bit more grungy. As I did on this sample, I went round the edges of the paper just to make it a little bit more darker. But if you want a more cleaner effect, then just leave it as it is. So this is the music sheet, and I'm just going to stick that down flat. So we're not using any dimension just yet. And I'm going to place that, just cutting into the corners up to the edge of the striped paper. There we go. Let me just zoom in a little bit for you. That's better. You can see a bit more clearly now. So next is our topper, lovely bride and groom. And we don't know whether this is before the wedding or after. The groom's got a little bit of a twinkle in his eye there, look. So what we're going to do is we're going to raise this up on foam pads. So I'm just going to take some inexpensive foam pads, and I'm just going to pop a few foam pads. I'm leaving a little bit of a gap on the right hand side because we are going to tuck in those tickets in a moment. So I'm just leaving a little bit of wiggle room and a little bit of space to put those on. So I'm just going to use one in each corner. And one in the middle there. And again, you can distress the edges of this, you can add distressing, you can add whatever you want to the card. The world is your oyster, as they say. Okay, so I'm now going to place that fairly straight. Pull that down a bit so you can see it. And I'm going to place that fairly straight on the card there. Give it a little push. It's not too, I mean there is a little bit of dimension there, but not too much. That's not going to affect the postage that much. Okay, so the next thing is we have our little tickets. Now I've used the Love Always ones on this one. On the first one that I used Love Story. So, but I'm going to use Love Always on this one. So all I'm going to do is just turn that over, put a little bit of glue, put the Always at the bottom. Now we've put the words just slightly over to the right, and if you notice there is a gap on the left. That gives you the room to be able to tuck it under without actually losing the word. I know on some of them when you tuck under, the words disappear or half the word disappears, and that's not very good. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to add the sentiment, and again I'm going to add that there onto the card. Now that's half on and half off already the raised topper. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put one foam pad on the back of the right hand side. So if I just turn that over, that now becomes the left. And then I'm just going to put glue on the right hand side. When you turn that back over, it becomes the left. And then that will sit just nice. I'm just going to line that up with the edge of the card, give that a little bit of a push, and that's now stuck down really nice. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to add our little button embellishments. So this is the 3/8 circle punch. It's an X-cut 3/8 circle punch. Now I want to use these ones in the middle, so I'm just going to cut those out and then just line that up with the punch and just pop those out. Now if you get a little bit of a white line around them, if you're not exactly 100% accurate, don't worry, just run around the edges with a bit of distressing, or run around the edges with a distress marker, and that will get rid of them. It's a brush tip and you can get rid of any white edges if you've had any imperfections on your cutting out or your punching. Okay, so I have my 3 faux buttons there. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take an embossing tool, and I have a pricking mat here, but you can use an old mouse pad if you want to, and I'm just going to place them face down onto that pricking mat, and then all I'm going to do is just, using the embossing tool, just do small circular motions, just go around in circles, and that will give those faux buttons a nice little domed effect. I'll turn that one over so you can see it in the palm of my hand. So that's given it a nice little dome effect. And I'm just going to do that for the other 2. And the last one. Okay, so we now have our 3. So I'll pop that pricking mat to one side and put the embossing tool away. And then all I'm going to do is just to bring in some foam pads. And I'm just going to place one there, one there, and then I can put my 3rd one equidistant into the middle, and then I'll just take the tops of those pads off, and then we can then stick, using a little pickup tool, over those foam pads. And that is pretty much it. Now all I'm going to do is just add a little bit of glossy accent on those buttons, just to give them a nice little bit of shine. My glossy accent seems to have gummed up. Just use my pokey tool to open that up. Now I did have, there it is, I've got a pin specially that I use for opening up my glossy accent bottles, because it's got a nice wide top to it that I can grip. Okay, there we go, there's the glossy accents coming out quite nicely, and they will have a real nice shine to them when they're dry. Now the only thing that I haven't done is I haven't put the insert panel in just yet, and because I've just added those glossy accents, that will take a little bit of time to dry. Or I could just stick that in now, so you can see, yeah, we'll just stick that in now. The glossy accents aren't going to run, because I haven't really put that much on them. So all I have to do then is just place that in the centre of our card. So I always forget to put the insert panel in first, and just stick that down. And there you go, you have a card which is decorated on both front and the inside. So that's a sneak peek from an upcoming CD collection. There is also a paper pad collection as well, where you can get the paper, the floral backing papers and the toppers, and that's coming around about August time. So I just thought I'd share that with you, but don't tell anyone.